always do that.
No, this is close. It is technically in Vietnam, but no. Even in the movie, this is not Vietnam, but it is Southeast Asia. Check out the skin color on this guy, and then maybe it'll be a hint.
Okay, why is he putting on blackface? So it has to be Philippines.
No, good. No, that's Denzel.
Oh, Denzel.
Denzel Washington. So
I don't think I can recall like a classic Vietnam War movie with Denzel in it. I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll give you the co-star, Russell Crowe.
Doesn't ring a bell. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not much of a Russell Crowe fan, honestly.
Really?
Other than the what's the movie?
Gladiator.
I
Yeah,
guess
that's a
other than
badass
that.
movie, dude. I love watching Gladiator. There's so many iconic scenes on there. Like you could just watch, you just watch the scene and you'll be good for the day. You don't need to even watch the full movie. But I digress. This is a movie called American Gangster. Have you heard about it? It's actually based on a true story.
I think I've heard of the name, but the background doesn't seem like would be I thought it was a war movie. I didn't think it was a gangster movie.
So you're close. This is during the Vietnam War. So American Gangster, It's about the first black man in America to do heroin in a big way. So he went above the Italian mafia in terms of heroin conspiracy and distribution. So this guy he went to I believe it's Thailand. So this was during the Vietnam War, and so they had American soldiers in Thailand, and he went over there and he got it directly from the source. So pure 100% heroin, and then he was able to, yeah, you understand?
When do you go to get 100% pure heroin?
Thailand.
Just Thailand. That's where you get
it. Allegedly, I don't know anything about heroin.
Just out of curiosity, I have no intention to start a heroin business or anything like that. So Colombia for the cocaine and then Thailand for the heroin. All right, got it. For the
and what would be Vietnam for? I don't know. What's good in Vietnam?
Pretty close to Vietnam. So I think we can grow a lot of it as well. The thing that we reduce heroin out of, but don't ask me. I'm pretty sure it's illegal.
So. Yeah. So no, this guy, he like the CI, the FBI, whatever the 3-letter intelligence agency, they didn't believe he was like the main guy because they never thought like a black man could go over the Italian families, and so he's very pioneer. And then small spoiler, a woman was his downfall. So the only reason he got caught was because his wife gave him something, and he broke his own rule. It's a repeating thing throughout history,
Yeah, when you want to get a guy, get him through his woman. Classic.
Yep. So
every guy's weak spot. You can't say no to your own lady and all that.
Right.
Cool.
Cool. I'll just start it off, okay? All right. Sure. Welcome everyone to the 4th episode of the Unnamed Unlisted Podcast. I'm your host Sean, and this is Huey. So what's up, Huey?
We might just might as well officially name it the Unnamed.
Yeah, I thought that'd be cool. Unlisted, unnamed.
But maybe like an insider joke that would become its own thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm doing good. Woke up a little bit late today, but otherwise I'm doing great.
Yeah, we finally
go ahead a little bit to lower the temperature, but somehow it didn't rain the exact day that I wanted to rain because I don't have any plan going outside today, so I wanted to rain as it can, but it's not raining today.
Right. Yeah, so it's good. It's good that we got some thunderstorms, some rain finally to relieve us of this heat wave. But it's still pretty hot today, so I understand what people sleep in.
It's very cozy and inside with the temperature going a little bit less hot, but it's still going to be a little bit hot for about a few weeks before the fall rainy season kicks in officially, where it will start raining like very consistently around the same times every single day, and really low the temperature and block out the sun for the most part, and it'll be good for the overall temperature.
Right.
Because right now I'm telling you, it's not endurable. It's quite bad. Oh,
Cool. Yeah. All right, well, let's just go and get into it. The first thing on the docket is rethinking the value of university degrees. Um,
mm,
so basically, you know, I guess Vietnam is waking up to this, but in the West, a lot of people are figuring out which is a good return on investment in terms of which major to commit to. And so in the case of this person, they have even two uh, university diploma, but it's they're finding difficulties in their job pursuit and their careers. So what do you think?
uh, personally, I think the story is it's a little bit weird for this guy to use his story to demonstrate the fact that university degree is no longer as valuable as it used to be. I don't think his
Mm,
story is particularly a good showcase of why this is the case. But it doesn't matter what the story specifically is. What matters is the point you bring up. Is it a valid point or not? So
right.
uh, I think personally, I think a university degree is still very much valuable in the Vietnamese job market in general. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
somebody looking who are, let's say you are still in high school and thinking about whether to do university or not,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a little bit premature to recommend a high school student to ditch the university path to go with something else. Not
Right.
saying that it's a bad idea. Like
Right.
if you go for your own thing and you bypass university and you it can be very successful, very successful. Of
Right.
course, not necessarily a bad idea, but right now the net benefit of a university degree is still considerable. Not saying it's recommendable, but it's still a very considerable value that it brings to you in the premium stock market. But that's the short answer. But the long answer is, I think you mentioned that we are a little bit late in terms of catching on to the fact that the university degree is not that valuable anymore. I don't think we're late on catching up with that. We're just in a situation where it hasn't been there yet. So, for example, why is the West is so much faster as catching on to that aspect? Because they're all outsourcing their job to Asia, right? So, if you're outsourcing their job to Asia a lot,
Mm.
then it would actually, for a period of time, it would increase the value of the university degrees in Asia. Suddenly, we get all the good jobs. So,
Mm-hmm.
everybody is pushing the kids going to school in certain major that are like booming in job opportunity. So for example, in Vietnam, let's say you were around 2015, 2014, IT is everywhere. The
Right.
amount of the amount of graduate that are produced every year does not meet the demand, like not even close. So it's just the number one major for every young student. Like if they can take on the major and if they're good at what they do, they can definitely get a job easily. Even
Yep.
even a retard, I'm sorry, even an idiot within the field who can do the basic tasks can get like a decent salary out of the first year. So it's a very easy market to break into if you have the degree. And Vietnam is still were and is still a very degree oriented job market, so to speak, for better or
Mm-hmm.
worse. Probably.
Right.
And a university degree is still considered like the bare minimum entry to a lot of job here
Mm.
in Vietnam.
Mm.
whether it's a good idea or not, they still do that here. So for that reason alone, having a university degree is still very much important if you're looking for a job out of school. It's still very important. So don't be too excited about the aspect of not having to go to university yet anyway. And yeah, so that was my first point. The reason it was catching up late is because we are in a situation where they outsource their job to the Asian market. So we capture all that. So if anything, it increased the value of a degree. So what about 2024? So the economy is tanking quite a bit in the past
Vietnam,
1 or
you
2
mean?
years.
Yeah.
In Vietnam, yeah, been tanking a little bit. So the job market is no longer as robust as it was before. So the value of a degree certainly went down quite a bit, but it's still not to zero. So if you go out looking for a job, a degree is still pretty much required in most major corporations. You're not gonna go in. I don't have a degree, but I can do this. Can you can you sell that version of yourself? Yes, but not many people are willing to overlook the fact that you don't have a degree. In fact, many company use a HR recruitment company to do their screening for them. They don't do it
Headhunters,
themselves.
right?
Yeah, and the headhunter always set a automatic filter using AI or either manually that all right, if they don't have a degree, it's an automatic to the reject pile. So they don't even look at you if you don't have a degree. So unfortunately, it's just how a lot of headhunters do it in Vietnam.
Right.
So don't be too excited about ditching a university degree yet. Not to say that you can't get a job if you don't have one.
Right.
So I think overall in the West, yes, I feel like a university degree might be getting closer to a waste of time, a waste of a lot of time, 4 to 5 years in your most and youthful and energetic years, years that can be spent on strengthening real life skill that can flourish something else. All then goes to university and stacking on 200K of debt that you can never gonna pay off, and potentially getting nothing out of it and wasted 5 years of your life. This is the worst part, because time is the number one resource that you don't get back. So the money, the debt is one thing, but the time is another.
Right.
But in Vietnam, I would still say it has its place, a university degree, because it's a fast way to filter out candidates who don't have one, and to do that here. I don't know, in 10 years, in 20 years, maybe we'll reach a point where we don't value it as much as we do.
Right.
But I think that this guy is sharing a story. I think he's put a little bit of a hyperbole on the statement. I think it's trending in that direction, yes, but I don't think we're there. We're there yet. So that's what I think. How about you?
Right, sure. You mentioned 100K. So recently, a few of the universities in America reached the barrier of $100,000 annual tuition now. So before it used to be,
yeah,
$500,000
you're done.
So you can understand when I guess in America that's why they're seeing a lower return on investment on this. But another point is you mentioned 2014 to 2021, 2022, right before COVID, was we call it the ZIRP era, zero interest rate policy, ZIRP. And so during this time, like there was the Fed, which basically the agency or the office that controls the money supply in America, basically made borrowing money free because it was literally under 1% to borrow money. And so that will obviously just filter down into all the IT companies, and all the IT companies you're talking about FANGs, Facebook, Apple, Google, Meta, all the big seven. They were just doing a hiring spree, and with that will inevitably bring some capital to Manila, Colombia, Vietnam, inherently, because they want easier and cheaper and kind of less demanding coders and developers in IT.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the thing about Vietnam, it's a little bit of outside the point is that Vietnam, I think, does too much subcontracting work, especially in IT, because like they build things for the big guy, you know. I know
Yes.
people who work for Pepsi, who work for Suntory, who work for Motor, which is like an oil petrol company, and they always do it under the name of Azure, AWS, GCP. They never put a Vietnamese brand on it. So I think it's just a side point. Like I think Vietnam needs to do better as far as like building up their brand and their made in Vietnam kind of mantra. And because we're creating good quality stuff. We just want the fast money instead of like taking years to do research and development and developing that branding, you know. Um, Secondly, I think there's a phrase in America. It's like, I have a PhD, right? And so the word I have a PhD, like what does it mean, right? So if you have a PhD in history or music history, it's a
Oh
worthless
no.
piece of paper, right? And that's what it means to like spend
Poor,
100K. Did I say it again?
poor, hopeless, and desperate is what the PhD stands for. If you have a PhD in
Poor,
history or
hopeless, and what?
desperate.
Desperate or in debt now.
Yep.
Um, And so I think you see the impact on, I think you just mentioned like, especially even in the IT industry in Vietnam, there's impact, no more ZERP era, um, more of these Silicon Valley companies, they're outsourcing to Manila, to Colombia and other places, South Asia, Pakistan, especially, right? And so I think there's a if I were to have a kid who's going to college, I would say like, oh, you still need a university degree, but maybe try a trade school, right? Um, that's definitely in high demand right now. So if you can do plumbing, electrician, especially if it's a guy, right? Then I think that would be a good course where you can make your money back and not be in debt and find some real fulfillment because you're actually doing honest work. Um, Whereas a lot of these liberal arts degree, outside of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, you're not going to get that return on investment back. What do you think?
Well, I don't know how much you have to pay to finish trade school, but I bet it's not 500,000 in four
And it's
years.
usually 2 years too, right? Two or
Yeah.
around 2 years.
And since nobody is want to, since nobody typically consider like being a plumber or an electrician to be like a fancy or prestigious line of work, they will evidently become like a rarity. They become like a novelty, meaning
Right.
you get paid a lot. The rule of supply and demand, right?
Is that
It's
absolutely?
like that's it's like that South Park episode where they envisioned that in 2050, like only like plumber are rich because we have like 20 manager and only one plumber. At the end of the day, you can replace most managerial, most IT job, most data entry with an AI, but you can ask an AI to fix your pipe. So eventually, the plumber are flying to the stars with Elon Musk and not the manager. But yeah, but I like Russ. I think I don't know about in Vietnam. Like in Vietnam, we definitely have like a very incumbent amount of plumber and electrician. So we're not in this situation where we can recommend our kid to do that yet. But in America, I don't know. But like, if what you said is true, it might be the case.
Mm.
So either go to trade school or learn some real world skill. So no matter what trade you're going into, you still need to look for client, right? No matter what line of work you're into. So learning communication, learning how to sell, learning how to write a compelling piece of opening bid. All that is going to be helpful no matter what you do. So I'd rather have my kid focus on that than go to school for 5 years with $500,000 to learn how to make modern art, for example. So yeah, I think we're on the same track here. We agree that it's trending towards the direction where a degree is not as useful as it used to be perceived as, but not as the same rate as it goes in the West. So on the East, we still have a lot of outsourced job. So we can still hold on to the idea of a formal also formal education is insanely cheap here. It's not
Is
that
it?
expensive. I would say like if you
Unpack
go
that
to
first. Yeah.
so if you go to so in Vietnam is actually the opposite. Like the best like a 10 school in the country is going to be the cheapest one because
Hmm.
the state sponsor most of the fees. So the operation fees and all
Financial
that
aid.
are yeah mostly sponsored by the state. So
Hmm.
the student can pay. I think so. I went to UIT for software engineering, and it's considered the top three in the country for software engineering. And
Hmm.
between 2010 and 2015, I pay about, and when I say I pay, I mean my parents pay. Yeah, I mean it's not like expensive, so I'm comfortable letting my parent pay for it.
Hmm.
So my parent pay about less than $300 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and the state sponsor because like the state sponsor most of the operation fee of the school. It was a
Hmm.
state run apparently, so
Hmm.
it's very cheap. There's nowhere near that expensive. And if you are from a certain part of the country, you pay even less. And if you have a piece of paper saying that oh you are under a certain income bracket, the state will let you go to school for free as
Hmm.
long as you pass the entrance test, of course. Other than that,
Hmm.
it's free. So it's very accommodating here. So the worst you can lose is your time. You don't lose any I guess considerable amount of money at all, and it's still very valuable in Vietnam. And you have and you have a opportunity to network with other people within the same field as well. And the
Hmm.
IT field is like surprisingly small, even in Saigon.
Hmm.
So if you go to software engineering school and you come out, you're probably gonna meet everyone that you go to school with on your first job or second job, even third job. I think that's my experience.
Okay.
Everywhere I went to school, I met them again in my first job, and I went for like 5 years. So it's a very small pool. So you definitely want to network, and you definitely want to not make enemies. Even if you're leaving a company, don't make enemies because you probably gotta run into them again in your next job. But I digress. And there's one point that you mentioned that I think I agree with as well is the fact that even though the IT industry in Vietnam has been flourishing in the past decade because a lot of like Western country are outsourcing their job to Asia.
Hmm.
However, we seem to do a lot of things for other people and not for ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah, so we produce major platform, major product for major company, but we never get to put our name on it. So if
Yes.
we make something for, let's say, so I used to work for a platform for the by the way, I'm not under an IDA and NDA or anything, so it's fine.
Sure.
For the
We
ANZ
just bleep it
Bank,
out. Doesn't worry. Then no worries.
no, it's fine. So the ANZ Bank is a major bank in Australia, right? And
Okay.
they this donation platform. And of course, when you go to the website, they talk about this and that. But of course, by a contractual agreement, they will never mention our name or it's just
Right.
like a proprietary. How do you say that word? Uh,
In perpetuity,
proprietary. I don't know. It was property of ANZ Banking Corporation. Yeah.
proprietary.
So proprietary. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you didn't get to put your name on it. Nobody will
Yep.
know that. Oh, it was a small team of 20 people in Vietnam who make that possible. You're never gonna get that, which is fair. Of course, it's part of the contract. So you do it for them, you get paid, and then you don't get the credit. Of course, you get
Right.
credit. That's what I'm saying is wrong. I'm just saying it's unfortunate that we keep doing that.
Right.
So if we are capable of doing it for other people, I don't see why we can't do it for ourselves. So we build our own brand, our own product. We can slap our own country, our own name on it, and then
Right.
we market. Oh, it's a Vietnamese software. It's a Vietnamese product, and
Right.
market it. Wow. And it's again, we know it's possible because we're already doing it, but just
Right.
for other company, but
Yeah.
myself. So it's certainly a direction that we can take on, and even the massive IT corporation in Vietnam like FPT, they do have a product that are in direct competition with things like AWS, but only locally. So if you live in Vietnam, and you want to, the product is called F Cloud. So it's an
Wow.
alternative web service to
Cloud
AWS.
service, right?
Yeah. So if you are like a tech company operating in Vietnam, especially if you're operating in Vietnam alone and you're not operating internationally, it might be
Mm.
very compelling to use F Cloud instead of AWS because the server
Wow.
is right
Okay.
here in Vietnam. So the
Whoa.
connection is going to be stable. But
Right.
if you use AWS, it's going to go all the way up to whatever it is, Seattle, and they go back to Vietnam. So the traffic will be a little bit stuck. So if you operate internationally, it might be, better to use AWS. But I think the VNG company also has another cloud web service cloud platform as well. So they have product like that, but mostly for the local market. I am not aware of any piece of enterprise software that are popularized internationally from Vietnam yet. So that might be something they should focus on in the future. Like in India, definitely did that, right? They outsourced a lot at the beginning, but then
Mm.
they tried to do their own thing a lot on the latter part. But Vietnam hasn't done that yet. So I'd like to
Mm.
see if they try. At least that would put their name on or Vietnam's name on the map a little bit more. But
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with you on that as well. We could do more than and not less.
Right. So yeah, I feel like Vietnam is like the mistress. It's like they use us, but they never bring us out into public. And we do good work for them, the manual work, but they never acknowledge us. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So speaking of, spicy controversy related to uh
Spicy, you say? I like it spicy.
yeah. Um, there's been this new controversy about the Vietnamese International School, the first one, passing out a novel from a Vietnamese American who is, I believe, gay. And
Sorry, real quick. Are we
go
talking about the
ahead.
same international school that we talked about in the past couple one, or a different international school?
Yeah, so this is different. This is a international school, Ho Chi Minh City. This is, I believe, the first one to set base in Vietnam.
Okay,
This
it's a
is not
different one. All right.
this is not American International School.
All right.
Right.
Go ahead.
And so the gist of it is like this novel was actually approved by the education body we were talking about the other week, and it's under recommended the reading. So this is actually
Part
approved.
of the IBO
Yeah,
recommendation. Yeah.
yeah, IBO program, right?
Yeah.
And so basically they handed this out it was originally in English and it got translated into Vietnamese. And when the parents got a hold of this, they were not approving and they thought it had some erotic or pornographic content according to the parents. And
Yeah.
recently, the update is now they been ordered to uh, take back those 19 copies from the students, and they're reevaluating it now.
19 out of how many?
I have no. I think they just passed out. The number is not that big of an issue. I think well what the issue here is about parental approval
Okay.
and and I guess, like academic reading and academic recommendation for students. Go ahead. What do you think?
I think this story is kind of. I think context is required. So
Mm.
let's all right. I haven't read the book yet. So I can't really judge the story much until I know what the book is about. Like, you
Hmm.
know, you cannot say anything until you read the book. So I can have to work on assumption here.
So
And my assumption is
just briefly, I think they talked about one. There was a story about a woman who did sex work, and then the novel also talked about his experience as his homosexual experience with another person. So just in
okay.
general, those were the two main issues. Not to get into the nitty-gritty details.
Okay, so his mom did sex work.
No, I think it was another woman, not his mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh I in the effort to try to find out what the book is about, I searched it up on Amazon to see the synopsis say anything about the story. And since
Mm.
the synopsis seems to mention that his grandma, not his mom, but his grandma, has some rough history with being sexually assaulted and all that.
Hmm.
So when you say, and the picture is his grandma and his mom and him. His
Hmm.
mom is a single mom. The dad is not around. So I thought you meant like his mom was involved with sex work, and that and he is that like is that so when you say the main character is a homosexual, you mean like the author is just
Yeah.
in the fiction? Oh, the author. It's a book about him himself.
Right. Yeah. He talked
Okay,
about his experience. I think his first time where he was in
okay.
Connecticut. Yeah.
That's actually new information to me. I
Mm.
didn't know that because the article didn't mention that. It
Yeah.
only mentioned that the parents complaining about the book containing potentially like pornographic content.
Right.
So I think we can be sure that the book is at least an erotic piece of writing. I'm not
Right.
sure about porn, but at least erotic. So
Yep.
all right. So
Absolutely.
first, I'd like to praise the parents who were involved in the story. The fact that she or he, we don't know if it's a mom or dad. The fact that the parent like spent the effort to check the material that the school gave to the many parents won't do that. So I would like to applaud the parent first. So do that. All right.
I
If
wonder
the
if
school,
if any of the parents actually super approve. Like, no, we want this. We want the
yeah.
kids bringing back some interesting materials. Anyway.
We want the parent to be a little bit involved with what their kid are being taught. All right. So uh and so it's a very classic Asian parent thing to do to be flip out about potentially pornographic or erotic or sexual content in books recommended to kids. I would kiss in quote because there is 11th grade. So 17-year-old, I mean, it's all arguable whether they're kids or not. So at 17, I've known people that I went to high school with have their first pregnant experience when they're 17. So
You
I
mean someone got pregnant at
yeah, someone
17?
got
Yeah,
pregnant
okay.
and someone got somebody pregnant at 17 as well.
Right.
So I don't think 17-year-old reading like sexual writing is like the worst thing in the world personally.
Right.
However, if they saw it from porn, if they read it on their net, yeah, sure, like it's just part of life. But like if the school gave their kids as if official part of the recommendation, but it contains sexual content that it might worth looking into.
Right. I think that's the main issue. But go ahead.
Yeah. And also, I have a theory that the parent is not really complaining about the sexual nature of the writing,
Mm.
complaining about the gay part.
Okay.
But the article won't mention that.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Yeah.
okay,
The
right. Okay, go
article
on.
I think the fact that the author is writing about his gay experience is very significant to point out. All right, but the article does not mention that, so I think it's a little bit omitting,
Mm.
probably intentionally. And honestly, I think is way more likely the parents complaining about the gay part than the sexual part. But whatever it is, I
I'm
think
sure they got
whichever it is,
gaslighted by that part a little bit more than if it
yeah,
was straight. But keep going.
whichever part that the parents complaining about, I think it was a legitimate concern for a book handing out to people under the age of 18 to consume.
Mm.
And yeah, I love that the parents are reading through their kids' material,
Mm.
but I I'm kind of torn about this one. On one hand, I don't think it's the end of the world.
You were saying? Go ahead. You were torn. Go ahead, something like that.
I was saying that I like the parents are getting involved with the kids are bringing up from bringing home from school.
Right.
But what I don't like the most about the story is the fact that, all right, the official IBO, the IB organization, recommend the book as part of the official reference reading list.
Right.
But the local
Education ministry.
yeah, education ministry would not approve of such content being distributed to 11th grader and all that,
Right.
which kind of demonstrate the clash of different culture east and west here.
Mm.
And on the east, I can very much attest that parents will not be fond of their kids like reading gay sexual stuff. The least of all thing before the age of 18, like even after 18, actually they wouldn't like that.
Right.
So yeah, so is it worth going through all of the IBO recommendation from now on? Probably not, but like aside from the cultural differences, I kind of want to hear people personal take on bringing the gay sexual writing into the classroom before the 18 years of age. So personally, in Vietnam, don't have a problem with it. I think as long as it's not like super explicit and super gross and super like degenerate, I think it's fine. Like I don't think in this book, I haven't read it, just to be clear.
Right.
But the nature of the title, and I read the synopsis and the review on Amazon. I don't think this is one of those super gross and super like degenerate thing.
Sure.
It's like an honest hits a experience, and it contains part where he become a little bit more descriptive.
Right.
And I mean, if an Asian mom thing is pornographic, you have to lower it down by 3 level for the general standard. And it's probably gonna be like, I don't know, whatever. If we actually end up reading it, so it's if an Asian mom says so, you have to lower it a little bit.
Right.
Personally, I don't have a problem with this book particularly, assuming that it's not like one of those gross degenerate thing. It's just like an honest story. I don't mind that at all. But I know that a lot of people have like a viscerous reaction when this comes to even some Western actors. So if you read in the comment section of a similar article, they were saying stuff like, "Oh, please don't bring the woke Lyme virus in." Yeah, don't leave the Vietnamese children alone. Leave that shit in like the NATO country or whatever. Which I can understand why, but I don't think this book reached that level where it warrants that reaction yet. Assuming the book is not gross, of course. If it is, then I'll be as just, I guess, as anybody else. And also one last one before I'll bring it back to you. If this mom or dad is mad that their 11 grader kid is reading like gay sexual stuff at the 17 years of age, they're gonna be really mad at what they're reading on the internet. So I'm telling you, like for Vietnam,
right,
at least for Saigon, let's say for Saigon, I'm not sure about the rest of the country. In Saigon, people are surprisingly, quote unquote, progressive. Meaning they are accepting they are very, very accepting those weird and like quote unquote deviant idea that are considered deviant like 20 years ago, but now the kids are very comfortable with it. They always joke about it left and right, and if you go to the theater, you know, I want to digress a little bit. Like in China, like all movies or Western movie are required to censor out the part that mention anything about like gays and stuff, right? They are
Wow.
very
Okay.
strict. So you know the Star Wars moment when they have to cut the gay kiss from Star Wars before they release it in China, and then yeah, you know, and
Star Wars
so
has taken a pretty deep fall lately, so I haven't been following. But go ahead.
I don't know. I haven't watched Star Wars, the new one either, or the
Yeah.
old one. But I just want to point out that Disney is screaming about that kind of stuff in the West, but that they censor all the gay stuff for the Chinese market. It's all about the money, right? So, but in Vietnam, we're not doing that. We're very comfortable with the gay stuff.
Right.
So, in fact, many Vietnamese movie made by Vietnamese people are shown in Vietnamese theater feature a lot of gay character.
Yeah. Agreed.
But like in fact, most of the gay character in Vietnamese movie are just like a comic relief character. It comes in being funny, they make
Right.
gay jokes, they're just being comic relief. So
Right.
it's just to show that the Vietnamese culture in general, and even the people from up top who control the cultural aspect of the country, they all this kind of stuff. So I
Right.
doubt that they're with the gay stuff, but they. Yeah, I take it back. Maybe the parent were actually complaining about the sex stuff and not the gay stuff. Maybe it's true. So yeah, I don't think this is an issue where the woke my virus is infiltrating Vietnam. I don't think it's not here yet anyway. I don't think this book is it. It just happens to feature maybe a few paragraph of overly descriptive author experience with his homosexual experience. I doubt that is this the deal is as big of a deal as it was. And as one said in the article that said, I think the whole issue was stemmed from the fact that one parent complained.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a lot of power.
Otherwise, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the education ministry doesn't care. The school doesn't care. Doesn't care. Not in a way that they don't give a shit. In a way that they don't have a problem with it. You know, they're fine with it. You know, if this is one thing that the Vietnamese government does well, that they have a very good sense of what to put out and what to not put out in terms of controlling society in a way that to make them not go crazy.
Right.
So certainly I think they go hard on drugs. They go hard on anything that could consider like a degenerative force to societies.
Harmful to
so
society. Yep.
That would include sexual content to really young children, which I agree with.
Right.
But 17-year-old reading this, I don't think it's a problem. So what do you think?
Right. So Vietnam is kind of two-sided with this, right? So Vietnam is one of two countries outside of Taiwan to have gay marriage decriminalized, right? I know there's a gay parade every year too. I don't know if it's here or in Hanoi or both. And it's
wait.
Go ahead.
Did you say that the gay marriage is decriminalized in Vietnam?
Yeah. So back in the days, like if you trying to marry and you're gay, you're technically breaking the law, right? But now it's decriminalized, which basically means it's not legalized under the framework of a legal marriage, but it's not they don't pursue you and take legal
so
action.
Now they're just okay. So you don't get a marriage certificate,
right?
But you can have a ceremony or whatever, and nobody would come for you.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. All
yeah,
right,
so we're only one of two countries in all of Asia. Not even Thailand has this, and you know how Thailand has the Thailand doesn't have this. It's only Taiwan and Vietnam at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very progressive on their part. But speaking from my own experience, I had a gay student in his high school age, and when the parent brought him here, they talked to me about like trying to de-gay him. So basically, like, hey, can you like teach him how to fight and like do manly stuff and try to get him away from this gay stuff? And I thought like, uh, I don't think that's how that works. It and I know a lot of
Oh,
gay people who are very masculine, who are in the army, who are like bodybuilders, who are like professional fighters. So that's not like the thing that the silver bullet that turns off the gayness. But that's just a side thing. My point is just like there's the like you said, like it's very progressive here in terms of L and the G, uh, lesbians and gays as far as like public policy goes. But
B,
go ahead. I didn't hear you.
B, the
Um,
B
the
as
B,
well.
the B, yeah, like personally, like I told you before, I'm all pro L, G, and the B. It's just the other letters of the alphabet. It, I'm not too supportive of because it's like more forcing public policy, but that's another issue. Going back to the book, right? I heard somewhere in Vietnam that you learn about sexual
Just
puberty.
one more thing before
Go
we
ahead.
move.
Yeah.
I think the progressiveness of the Vietnamese culture in general, the Vietnamese
Mm,
people in general, is just stop at the T. We are very progressive toward the T
mm.
as well. All four letters. But the
Right.
difference is the T in Vietnam, they are very they're very different from the T in the West, if that makes sense. So the T in Vietnam, they behave very similar to the L and the G. They just
Right.
like wanted to be left alone. They want to be
Right.
themselves, but they don't want to, make other people change their way to accommodate them.
Right.
So I can tell you the T is a way more popular here than it is in the West. They're very fun to be around. So,
Sure. Sure.
but
Like
go.
yeah, like I said, like yeah, I have no problem with T's with transsexuals, to be honest, right? There's like I have friends who are born guys and now they transition to girls. Like that's fine. Like cool. Like we hang out, we go out at night and we have a good time and whatever. But it just like when it gets into public policy and forcing the public to do other things, whereas the L and the G and the B is inherently private, right? Where the T's are, it's gonna come sooner or later, right? We take everything from the West, so uh, I'm just worried about that. But that's my point about going back to the original issue about the book, is that you can read whatever you like. I mean, like when I was young, right? We used to pass Playboy, Hustler magazines around, and we used to hide them in our secret little spots. We had like VHS tape that had films on them that we we over recorded Forrest Gump or American Gangster, whatever, and then we passed it around. So that's no problem. Like what you do in your private time, especially when you're going through puberty and you have all these hormones, you don't know what to do with it. It's very natural and normal, and everybody understands that. And there's there's no public policy or order from the top down to stop it. I think the problem here with the school is like the school is officially passing it out and it's under the list of recommended reading. I think that's the only thing. So whether it's straight material or homosexual material or trans material, I think anything that um, goes into that realm, I think the family needs to have consent for the kids to look at. Um, and so I think that's the main issue, right? Case in point, like uh, I had another boy in my class, about 10 years old, right? And he's getting touchy-feely with other girls, but in a kind of harassing style, right? Trying to
Okay.
touch the buttocks, the other girl's buttocks. And it's not like it's not a consenting thing from the girl. Like the girls, they're like, ew, this is nasty. I don't want you to touch me there, right? And then I had to talk to the parents. I'd be like, yo, it, you either need to stop this or you need to explain to him what's going on. And then the parent told me that in Vietnam actually you have this sex puberty education at high school. Is that correct?
Middle school for me personally.
What grade did that specific? Because middle school and high school is different as
I
far as
got it when I was I
eighth grade,
think I
ninth
got
grade,
it when
10th
I
grade,
was like seventh grade.
7th grade. Oh, okay.
Me
That's closer
personally,
than okay. That's closer than I thought. Because like in the States we have it in 5th and 6th grade, but
yeah. Okay.
apparently this other parent told me it was in high school. So it's a topic that parents are uncomfortable to talk about. You know, even from a straight heterosexual, uh, the birds and the bee.
I
What do
never
mom
got
and
it from
dad?
my
Exactly.
parents. Never told.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine, like even from this book, even if it was like straight, they don't want their kids getting this, even from their parents. I mean, from themselves, passing it down to the kids. So I think that might be one of the ick factors of parents seeing this in the book that's consummated or allowed from the school, right? And I think that's the that's the biggest gripe I have with this. Like, yeah, if you want to, if you're 17, 16, or however old you are, you can go to the library or you can go on Amazon and purchase the book, right? On your own volition and your free time and your choice. But I think it's like if it's like on a list that the school has, it's kind of like the school is like promoting it or they vetted it. And obviously, like the school is not going to pass out Mon Kampf from Adolf, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some curation of what they recommend, right? And they need to have some accountability, like uh, what you want to pass out to the kids, what kind of message you're trying to give to, right? And at the very least, like notify the parents of what it is. Um, like America is very progressive, but I think a lot of families are conservative, at least in their personal issue, not in the economic realm, right? And so, um, yeah, like case in point, like Vietnamese public policy is more progressive than other parts of Asia, but I feel like Vietnamese here and even Vietnamese in America, like Vietnamese American are the only Asians that are predominantly Republican and right leaning. If you talk about the Chinese, the Filipinos, the Indians, the Japanese, the Koreans, they're all left leaning. And hmm?
Really?
Yep, that's a sure fact. You when you go to Trump rallies, you'll see a lot of Vietnamese people there too.
Yeah.
They're very very traditional. They'll say like, "Hey, we came from a boat, or we're immigrants too, but we don't want anybody coming here illegally. We had to wait in line. We had to go through the vetting process, the refugee uh, checks and everything. So they're like, we're pro, we're very pro legal immigration, not for open borders. But I digress. What I'm saying is like Vietnamese are conservative, and basically the only conservative uh, population in America in terms of Asians. So I think yeah, just to wrap up this, I think they just need to be very careful, the schools. And usually these schools nowadays are inherently more left-leaning and progressive. A lot of the universities are so. And I mean, this is the whole can of worms, but they they try to push maybe a little too much than we're ready for. Um, and I don't know, like if we just if we reciprocate that and then do the other extreme, like if we talk about, I don't know, something very conservative and traditional, like you have to be a good wife and stay at home and take care of the kids and forego your career pursuits. I don't know if that would be on the ICA or ICO approved
Probably
kind of
not.
reading, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this is just a simple mistake, but you know, uh, the author, he went through a lot of struggles that I went through too. He was a refugee immigrant, so yeah, I have a lot of support, and you know, I can connect to his story a lot, and the book may be very great. Uh, just there's like a place and time for this, and I think this might not have been the right time and place.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, the fact that it was on the official reference reading list from the IBO is sort of gave the school a sort of like a soft permission
Yep.
student, and it's not like, it's not reasonable to ask them to read through everything before they recommend to the student. It would be a little bit unreasonable. So if anything, it's just the fact that, all right, it's a cultural difference at place here, and the IBO probably operate mostly in like a Western atmosphere where they think this book is perfectly appropriate, but in Vietnam, they would think otherwise. Every term would think otherwise about that such recommendation. It's more about the cultural class and the fact that somebody screw up on the review or the content moderation. I don't think it's the issue. The issue is the cultural differences. That's all.
Mm.
And again, I haven't read the book, but I bet that the book is not gonna be that spicy. It's gonna be like a story about a refugee kid when going through the process and growing up, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened to feature one paragraph of some slightly explicit content. That's about it. So that's 17-year-old. I think it's bigger than that. But again, the idea is not about this book specifically. The idea is that whether schools should recommend such work like so comfortably. So
Mm-hmm.
the answer actually is no. So I
Right.
think parents should be involved, and if they even have like a slight chance of doubt that the parent will have a problem with it, then run it through the parent first. Just to avoid the issue in the future. So the school is okay with the book. The fact that the school is okay with the book, IBO is okay with the book, and the education ministry is okay with the book, to me it's good enough. Like, say what you will, but like the in Vietnam, the people in charge of education, I believe they are very strict about the thing that they do with books that children can and cannot read. So
Mm-hmm.
if they say it's okay, I tend to think that it's probably okay. So
Mm.
the parent might be a little bit a bit more sensitive about this kind of thing being read by kids, which is fair. So again, props to the parent for going through what their kids are being recommended. Maybe just a different idea of what is not okay, but I don't think it's an issue where people overlook stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just about
Yeah,
the parents.
real quick. So I think here it says that the Department of Education requested the school to discipline the teachers. So I don't know if they did this in hindsight, or maybe this wasn't
Fine to appease the parent who
right.
complained. That's all. Just
Okay.
they were okay with the book being published. They know about it. So
Yeah, but well, yeah, this goes into nitty gritty details, but they also mentioned like there's books that are classified only for children, and then books for adults are rarely labeled. But I don't know exactly what's going on. I think they just should be very careful. But continue.
so I guess that we're not officially labeled as a children book in the children book section in the bookstore. So I guess yeah, but it's a technicality. Yeah, that's all there is.
But just
So
speaking of the labeling the adults and children side, and in America, we used to have like these video stores, and I don't know, and when you go to these video rental stores, they have like a, a part that's for adult section only, and that had like a curtain. Yeah, that had a curtain. Like they had a curtain area over it. So I used to wonder what's in there. It's like man. When I grew up, I was like, okay. I finally went in and it's like, this is what it's all about. Now I know why they kept me to stay out.
And then internet porn happened, and then we'll never get to experience that ever again.
No.
So you can see the shame of walking into the current.
I know, right?
Back,
Yeah, now you get anonymity over the
yeah,
internet.
back then when you want to watch porn, you have to let people know that you're watching porn. Like the walk of shame. Oh, you're watching porn, I know what you're doing, so you have to let people know what you're doing and if you're okay with it. But now you can just do it like behind the screen. So, just to be clear, we haven't had any video store like that in Vietnam. No, we do have a video store, but none of them would
Have an adult
feature
section?
our section officially.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you go to the back, you have to back when VHS was a thing, porn was like outright illegal in Vietnam.
Right.
So distribution was illegal. So you have to talk to them like behind under the desk. Say, hey,
Right.
you have and then you get it done. But otherwise, it's not advertised officially. And
Right.
if a kid goes in asks for that kind of stuff, you're probably not gonna say yes. Because
Oh,
hey, how you the new season of this thing and what thing that Chinese drama? Oh, but like no, not that. We don't have that. It has to be like a known customer. It's illegal.
right. But real quick, going off on that, like, what's up with the uh, sexual protection um, shops here? I see them everywhere. I don't understand the idea of that. Why
Okay.
why don't people just go to Circle K or any of the supermarkets and just buy it there? Is there like, why is there a specialized like big old sign that says bag plastic?
Sex shop.
That's what it is. So they have other
Yep.
things, not just protection.
They don't just sell condom. Yep. For
Oh,
condom,
okay.
you can go
It's like I never understood that. What's going? Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah.
Let me know more. I'm really curious about this because I've never been inside and I keep going on the streets like, what is that? Why is it so prevalent and like it's available everywhere? But go ahead.
Also, just to be clear, I've never been to one of those places either, but I know
Really?
people who have been. I know people who have been there, and they told me that all right, they would put on a sign that just a condom shop, right? So, but for condom, you only need the Circle K, or you go online. You can buy like a pack of like 24 on Shopee easily,
Right.
right? So apparently they sell more than the simple stuff. They sell
Um,
some specialized gel to make you last longer. So you sell dildo. They sell plastic vagina. What is it called?
uh, like a
Cup thing?
like a flash,
Flashlight. Yeah.
yeah, flashlight or something. Yeah.
So that they sell protection and sex toy, vibrator, and
Ah,
you
but
know
but
the
but those toys are illegals?
no, not illegal. It's legal
Huh.
to sell them in Vietnam.
Okay.
Some
So why
shops
don't they
just
just
say
recommend it? I mean, why don't they put it and advertise that?
I think it's illegal to advertise them, but it's not
What?
illegal to sell them.
Wow, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
By the way, this is a guess. I don't know. This is a guess, by the way, because by the way, I don't think it's illegal to advertise them either. Just some shop choose not to advertise them because there are
Hmm.
some shop they outright put on a sign. We have sex
Yeah,
toy.
yeah,
We have
right. Yeah, I've seen that. Keep going.
some shop, and you go in and you have everything, and of course the police know it's there, and they're not
Yeah,
raiding it. So obviously it's totally fine, legal. So,
or at
by the
least in the
way, it
gray
would be
area.
maybe in the gray area, but as far as I know, they're not illegal. You can do that just
Hmm.
fine. But
Hmm.
I don't think they're super popular. I don't think they're everywhere. They are. You can run into like 10 of them, going around Saigon, but they're not like as prevalent as Circle K. So if you need, personally, every time when I drive past like a sex shop, I've never seen anybody going in or out.
Right.
I don't know how.
How do they stay in
Yeah,
business? What's going
yeah.
on?
Maybe it's just like a front for somebody like cooking meth downstairs. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe these guys are the ones that are running it now.
Oh, yeah, the real gangster. They're operating as the front of a money laundering scheme somewhere. If anybody walking in or out, but I know that there are at least one person on the desk behind the counter and
Right.
ready to service you. And,
Service you, right?
and
Oh, okay.
and also, I think people are not that comfortable showing their face in a sex shop here yet. The culture is
Ah,
not there yet. maybe it's there as advertisement, but they have like the website on the sign, right? So you have to go on, you order them online, and then they'll deliver to your house. They wouldn't go to the shop themselves. They have a shop just as an advertisement sign essentially.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, that's my experience. I've never been there, but people who've been there have told me that yeah, it's a sex shop essentially. But
I wonder what the margins are. It can't be too high, but anyway.
hey, don't ask me. I never buy anything like that.
You know, we should do a fact finding mission.
No, we should not. Whatever it is, no. You are welcome to wear like a GoPro and go in one and do a documentary. I'll be more than happy to watch your documentary, but I'm not gonna go in there. All right.
All right. Well, I guess that's any last words?
No. I'm good there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right then. Thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of the Unlisted Unnamed podcast. Catch you guys later.